My girlfriend said, "He's good enough." I replied, "Then I'm completely done." Then I refused to propose, moved out, let her rant to friends, and I just smiled, knowing her old roommate was the one I'd rather build a life with next. Best Reddit story original post. I am 30. My now ex-girlfriend is Megan, 27. We were together a little over 2 years, lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in a mid-sized city. No kids. I work in operations for a logistics company. She works in marketing and cares a lot about social media. Her roommate, Hannah, 26, moved in 6 months after Megan and I started dating. Long-time friend from college. They split the rent. I kept my own place at first, then slowly started spending more nights there. From the outside, we looked fine. Brunch photos. Weekend trips. Matching pajamas at Christmas. People commented couple goals under our posts. Inside, it felt more like a project than a relationship. Megan had a Google Doc called My Wedding Vision. I saw it once when she asked me to help pick a color palette. It had sections for venues, hashtags, photographer packages, and proposal expectations. She had a whole mood board saved for the ring. She talked about marriage a lot, not about being married, about the ring, the party, the photos. Around last summer, she started dropping lines like, "If you don't propose by Christmas, I'm done. I'm not wasting my late 20s on a man who doesn't have a plan." It was said with a smile, but it was an ultimatum. Hannah was the opposite. She worked as an ICU nurse. Long shifts, dark humor. Quiet, dry comments that cut through Megan's drama. She listened more than she talked. She barely posted online. We got along. Shared jokes over dishes. Watched the same shows when Megan was out. I was careful with it. She was my girlfriend's roommate. That line mattered. The event that shifted everything happened in November. I came over after work. Megan was in her room on speaker with her sister. She left the door half open. I went to the kitchen. I could hear every word. Her sister said something about Christmas proposals. Megan laughed. "If Blake doesn't do it by Christmas, I'm done," she said. "I don't even know if he's the one, but I'm not letting Hannah get engaged before me. Can you imagine? My roommate walking around with a ring while I'm still waiting. No way." Her sister asked, "Do you even want to marry him?" Megan sighed. "He's fine, he's stable. He's not my dream guy, but he's good enough if he pulls it together. I just need the ring, the photos, the wedding. If it doesn't last, whatever. That's what divorce is for." She laughed again. I stood in the hallway with my coat still on. My stomach went cold. I did not walk in. I did not say a word. I went back to the living room, sat on the edge of the couch, and pulled out my phone. I opened my notes app and wrote down what she said, word for word, date, time. Then I sent myself an email titled "Reminder, listen to this later." In the body I wrote, "She said she just needs a ring, photos, and a wedding. Not me." My first action was simple. That night when Megan signaled she wanted to talk about Christmas plans, I told her I was too tired and went home to my own apartment instead of staying over. On the way out, Hannah caught my eye from the hallway. She looked at me a little too long, like she knew something was off. I just said, "Long day," and left. Update 1: for the next 2 weeks I watched. That was my quiet plan. Megan ramped up the pressure. She sent me links to ring styles, tagged me in proposal videos, made jokes in front of friends. If someone doesn't have a plan by 30, that's a red flag. "Oh, I'm sure Blake has something up his sleeve." Right. I smiled, changed the subject, and kept my answers vague. The more she pushed, the more I noticed the gap between us. When I talked about work or family, she drifted to her phone. When I tried to talk about how we would handle conflict, money, kids, she steered back to color schemes and photographers. Hannah, on the other hand, actually asked things like, "How are you sleeping?" When I mentioned overnight shifts, she remembered details. She made tea when I looked worn out. She never flirted. She never crossed a line. That made it harder, not easier. The confrontation happened one Sunday in early December. Megan had planned a vision board night, candles, wine, heap of wedding magazines on the coffee table. Hannah sat at the dining table behind us finishing charting on her laptop. Megan pushed a magazine toward me. "Circle stuff you like," she said. "We need to get on the same page before you do the thing." I looked at the page. A photo of a couple under fireworks, a caption about capturing your forever moment. I set the magazine down. "We're not getting engaged, Megan," I said. My voice came out calm. She laughed. "Ha ha, very funny. Manifesting works better if you actually play along." "I'm not playing," I said. "I heard you talking to your sister. You said you don't know if I'm the one. You just need a ring and a wedding. You said I'm good enough if I pull it together." Her face froze. Then she glanced toward the hallway like she was rewinding time. "You were eavesdropping," she said. "You were on speaker with the door open," I said. "I came in like I always do. I heard you say you're not letting Hannah get engaged before you, that you just want the photos, and if it doesn't last, that's what divorce is for." Hannah stopped typing. The room went very quiet. Megan's eyes filled with tears fast. "I was venting," she said. "Everyone vents, you're twisting it." "I wrote it down that night," I said. I pulled out my phone and opened the note. "This is what you said, word for word." She grabbed for the phone. I pulled it back. "That's out of context," she snapped. "I was scared. I don't want to be the last one single. You know how my family is. If I'm not married by 30, they act like I failed. I was just talking. Of course I want to marry you." "You never mentioned loving me on that call," I said. "You mentioned the ring, the photos, the wedding. That's it." She stood up. "What do you want me to say, Blake? That I'm sorry I sound shallow? Everyone wants a nice wedding. You're overreacting. Prove you're serious instead of running away." I looked at her, at the mood board on the table, at Hannah sitting very still at the dining table, eyes on her laptop but clearly listening. "I'm not going to propose just to fix your image problem," I said. "The answer is no. I'm not proposing by Christmas. I'm not proposing at all." She went pale. "So that's it," she said. 2 years and you just throw me away because I was stressed." "I'm ending it because you called me a placeholder with a paycheck," I said. "I deserve to be with someone who actually wants me, not the role I play on Instagram." She started crying hard, loud. "You're humiliating me. Everyone knows I've been waiting for a proposal. Do you know how this makes me look?" I felt something in me click into place. "You're worried about how it looks," I said. "I'm worried about living the rest of my life with someone who thinks I'm good enough if I pull it together." "Those are different problems." I picked up my keys. "I'm going home," I said. "I'll come back tomorrow to pick up my stuff. We can talk about the lease then." I walked toward the door. As I passed the dining table, Hannah looked up. Her face was tight. "Blake," she said low. "Yeah." "You're not crazy," she said. "You heard what you heard." I nodded and left. Update 2: the next few weeks were a slow burn instead of an explosion that almost made it worse. First, the practical moves. I met with my landlord and asked about leaving the lease early. He said if one of them stayed and reapplied, I could come off. I agreed to pay my share through the end of the month and then be done. I moved my remaining clothes and things out in 2 trips. Each time, Megan stayed in her room with the door closed. Hannah helped carry boxes to my car. She didn't say much, just small things. "Label that one books so you don't kill your back. Don't forget your charger." Second, the social moves. Megan went straight to Instagram. Within days, she posted a vague text story about wasted time and men who fear commitment. She unsubtly liked posts about knowing your worth and not accepting delays to your timeline. Mutual friends started reaching out. "Dude, what happened?" "She says you blindsided her out of nowhere." "She says you freaked out when she talked about marriage." I sent the same answer every time, short. "We wanted different things. I heard her tell her sister I'm good enough and she just wants a ring and a wedding. I decided not to propose." Most people went quiet after that. A couple of them admitted Megan had been complaining for months about my lack of initiative. Then the messier part started. Hannah texted me one night. "Just so you know," she wrote, "Megan is telling people you were flirting with me while you were together. It's not true, but she's angry. Be ready." I called my older brother, who is a lawyer. I told him the whole story. "Document everything," he said. "Screenshots, dates. If she starts saying you cheated or harassed her, we want proof she's lying." I knew Megan cared a lot about image. I did not expect her to turn that into a weapon. She started leaving long voicemails, first begging, then accusing, then begging again. "You ruined my 20s. You owe me a proposal after everything I put into us. I will make sure everyone knows what you did." I saved them all. Then she turned on Hannah. Hannah called me one afternoon on her break. I could hear hospital noise in the background. "She's saying I stole you," Hannah said. To her mom, to her friends, to our coworkers from the old job. "I keep telling people we never crossed a line, but she doesn't care. She's fixated." "Do you want me to talk to her?" I asked. "No," Hannah said. "She'll twist it. Just keep your distance." The only revenge I took then was silence. I didn't clap back online. I didn't post a long "my side" thread. I archived our couple photos, set my accounts to private, and focused on work. Megan did the opposite. She DM'd my sister accusing me of cheating with Hannah. She left comments under old photos about how I used her best years. My sister sent screenshots. My brother sat me down and said, "You may need a paper trail, not yet a restraining order, but we'll keep this on file." The turning point came in January. Hannah had moved out. She couldn't handle the tension. She got a studio across town. One night I dropped off a box of her kitchen stuff I had accidentally taken. We talked in the parking lot. It was cold. Our breath came out white in the air. She said, "I'm sorry my existence made things worse for you." "You didn't do anything wrong," I said. We stood there for a long time. For the first time, it felt like there was no line between us that I had to guard. "Have you ever thought," she said slowly, "that maybe Megan was so obsessed with the wedding because she knew the relationship itself wasn't right?" "Yeah," I said. "I've thought that a lot." I drove home thinking about it. 2 weeks later, I asked Hannah to get coffee. As friends, no pressure. She said yes. That coffee turned into a 3-hour talk. We went over everything from childhood to music to how we handle conflict. It was easy in a way nothing with Megan had ever been. When I dropped her off, I sat in my car for a long time. I realized I had been in the wrong relationship for 2 years. Update 3, a month after our coffee, Megan texted me. "Can we talk?" I stared at the screen. My life was calm. I had been seeing Hannah more, slowly, carefully. We had agreed to take it slow out of respect for the mess, nothing physical yet. Just dinners, walks, honest conversations. I replied, "Only in public. No house, no car, coffee shop near the old place." "Sunday at 2, she agreed. When I walked into the cafe, she was already there, full makeup, hair done, a folder on the table. It looked like a job interview. "Blake," she said, standing up like we were in a movie. I sat. "You said you wanted to talk." She launched in. "I've been thinking," she said. "We were under a lot of pressure. I shouldn't have said those things to my sister. I do love you. I was just scared. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can push the timeline but still get married next year." She talked like the breakup had been a rough patch, not a full stop. "I've learned so much," she added. "I've been reading books. I unfollowed some of the accounts that made me feel behind. I'm calmer now. We can get back on track." I let her finish. I sipped my coffee. When she paused, I asked one question. "Do you remember the exact words you used about me?" She looked annoyed. "We've been over this," she said. "I remember them," I said. "You said you didn't know if I was the one, that I was fine. That you just needed a ring, a wedding, and if it didn't last, that's what divorce is for. You said you wouldn't let Hannah get engaged before you. That's not fear. That's treating marriage like a prop." She flinched. "I didn't mean it," she said. "You meant it enough to say it," I said. "You meant it enough to build your whole timeline around it." Her eyes narrowed. "Is this about Hannah?" she snapped. Are you punishing me because you like my roommate now? I stayed calm. This is about me not wanting to marry someone who saw me as a step on a ladder, I said. Hannah didn't make you say any of that. You did. So you are with her, she said. Her voice went sharp. People at nearby tables turned their heads. I'm seeing her, I said. We started talking after everything ended. It's early. It's honest. And she never once treated me like a deadline. Tears rolled down her face. You're disgusting, she said. You were probably thinking about her the whole time we were together. No, I said. If I had, I would have left sooner. I stayed because I thought we could build something real. I was wrong. She grabbed the folder and shoved it toward me. These are the deposits, she said. Venue photographer dress, you owe me half. I pushed it back. I already paid my half on the venue, I said. I have the receipts. You chose the dress on your own. The photographer is refundable. I'm not funding a wedding I'm not part of. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. So that's it, she said. 2 years and you walk away. I walked away months ago, I said. You're just now catching up. I stood. I'm not coming back, I said. There is no version of this where we get engaged. I hope you get whatever help you need, but it won't be with me. I left her at the table with her folder. She didn't follow. Final update, it's been 1.5 years since that cafe meeting. A lot has happened in that time, some of it messy, most of it quiet. After that talk, Megan escalated for a bit. Angry posts, subtweets about betrayal and friends who aren't really friends. She hinted that Hannah had stolen me. Hannah's work found out when a coworker showed them the posts. She sat down with HR, explained the situation, and showed them messages where Megan admitted she was just venting online. HR told her to block Megan and focus on patients. Megan tried showing up at my new place once. Buzzed my apartment 3 times, left a voicemail about unfinished business. I saved it and told her by text, do not come to my home again. When she left a note on my car a week later, I called my brother. We filed for a no-contact order. The judge gave a stern warning and a 6-month order. After that, she stopped. Her life did not crash in some movie way. She still has a job. She still posts. But the last time a mutual friend showed me her profile, the wedding mood boards were gone. The captions were more about healing journeys and finding yourself. I hope that's real. I don't need to know. Hannah and I moved slowly. We waited 3 months after the breakup before calling it a relationship. We met with one of her friends and one of mine and laid it all out, so no one had to guess. We live together now. Different apartment, 2 bedrooms, even though we mostly use one. She works nights sometimes. I make her breakfast when she gets home. We talk about hard stuff before it becomes a secret. We have talked about marriage, but in a different way. She asked, if we did it, what would matter most to you? I said, who's at the table? How we write our vows? What our daily life looks like after? She said, good, because I don't care about chair covers. Sometimes people ask if I regret not just proposing to Megan to keep the peace. I think of that Google Doc, the checklist, the part where I was a line item under groom, TBD, but must be ready by 30. I think of Hannah sitting at a cluttered table after a 12-hour shift, laughing at something small I said, no camera on, no performance. Not even a little, I say. The revenge here was not a big scene. It was simple. I did not give Megan the ring she wanted for the wrong reasons. I gave myself the chance to wait for the right reasons with someone else. When I open my notes app now, that old entry is still there. She said she just needs a ring, photos, and a wedding, not me. I leave it there as a reminder. Next time I propose, it will be to someone who wants the life, not just the pictures.